Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Sam and I'm a non-gamer.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're taking a look at Grass is Greener by Blue Star Press.
Grass is Greener is a card game in which you are going to be competing to have the best lawn, trying to get the HOA to think your lawn is the best, which we know what that's all about.
HOA hates us.
This is a game that is from Blue Star Press, and we want to thank them for sending us this copy, this really cool gnome trophy, and this sweet
You look
hat.
like you need the big old dad white socks and the white tennis shoes.
I do have really long socks on right now. They're not...
You need to mow tonight, too.
They're not white, but yeah, they're dad socks. Anyhow, this is a game in which, you're trying to have the best lawn. You're going to be playing cards out of your hand, taking cards from a market. It's a very straightforward, easy game, and yet has a lot of humor tied into it. And especially if you're trapped in suburbia and you know what this game, the theme is all about, you can relate with this very much so. Let us show you how it works down below, and then we'll come back and share our thoughts on it as a gamer and non-gamer. All right, I have Grass is Greener on the table. Let me show you guys how this card game about living in a neighborhood with an HOA is going to work. Now, with this game, you have a deck of cards, and that's pretty much it. That's all the components. You have cards in this game. You do also have some HOA members, which we'll come back to here in just a second. And you do have some player aid cards. And with this, I want to show you the box real quick as well, because everything about this game is dripping with theme, suburban dreams and petty schemes. I love that. And this box is a magnetic flap here and holds the cards very nicely, so the box is fantastic. Small box here. But with this game, you do have a bunch of cards. Now, the setup of this game is that each player is going to receive 3 sod cards, which they'll keep in front of them like so, and you'll have all the rest of the cards in the game shuffled together, and you'll deal 3 cards to form a market, and then you will select one HOA board member, which you are competing for their approval, and each person has a name and a description about them, as well as a scoring regimen on the bottom of their card, such as Kelly here. She'll give you a +1 point for every sod plot in your yard, -1 point for varmints in your yard, and then +1 for having varmint trap in your garage. So each person has their own specifics that they are looking for. Peter, on the other hand, he's going to give you points for having equipment cards in your garage, and +3 for having ornamental shopping cart in your yard, because Peter likes 2 things: sports and high-tech gadgets. So yeah, that's Peter. And there's a whole bunch in here, and so this is going to increase your replayability for every time you play this game, because you're going to choose one of these and it will have a different effect on the course of the game. So that's the setup for the game. Now, on your turn, it's a very simple game. You are going to take 3 actions, and those 3 actions can consist of taking a card from the market, taking from the top of the deck, or playing a card. It's that simple, and you can do the same thing more than once. So for instance, I could take this card, I could then play it, and I could take another card. That could be my 3 actions. So let me show you the different types of cards in this game. And each card is denoted by its color on the top, as well as the wording up here. So you have plot upgrades, and these are cards that you are going to use to replace your sod cards, and they're going to give you special things on the bottom, such as the mulch bed here. It will receive +1 point for each garden that is attached to it. Garden is going to be some icons that are going to be on the tops of these cards, such as the forget-me-not garden. That is a garden right here, as you can see. It in and of itself will give you 1 point, but if you were to have that on top of the garden or the mulch bed here, that would give you another point. So that's how the mulch bed works. Another example, artificial turf. So you've decided to go full-on Brady Bunch, eh? Each card does have some great flavor text on these cards here. And it says, improvements attached to artificial turf do not give points unless they're tacky, because artificial turf is tacky. And on that note, we'll talk about improvements next. Those are the blue cards. I already showed you one, the forget-me-not garden. Here are some others. I really like the small patriotic flag here. Gives you 1 point. And it says, for those who are too afraid to commit commit, the flag equivalent of a golf clap. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got the political signage. I make things awkward. I love that. Trees are also improvements that you can add. Bird houses are another example. And then you do have inflatables. Inflatables are tacky, which would work real well with that artificial turf. But not only that, they also give you increasing number of points for however many inflatables you are able to get in your yard. Now, these blue improvement cards, as well as some of the others we'll show here in just a second, you will play them on top of your sod cards. Again, you're replacing sod with your plot upgrades, but these improvements, you'll be playing them on top of your sod, and each plot can hold up to 3 cards. So in total, you can have 9 cards on top of your plot cards. And that's one of the ways that the game is going to end if somebody fills up all of their plots with 3 cards on each plot. So that's the improvements. Another example of some cards are impairments. Now, they're kind of the opposite of improvements, as you might guess, and you're going to be playing these on other people, such as dropping a deuce. If dropping a deuce is attached to artificial turf, it's -2 points instead of -1. And so these are ways to cost your opponent's points. Salt of the earth, -2 if attached to a sod. Egg and TP, so you're TPing the other neighbor's yards. You can also have petty schemes, which these are going to be yellow cards. These are immediate benefits. So permanent borrower, remove 1 card from any garage and place it in any other garage. You've heard me say garage a couple of times. I'll explain that here in just a second. Remove and discard 1 improvement from any yard. So this is going to be some take that involved with these cards. And gopher infestation. Now, I mentioned garage. You do have garage cards, and you'll be keeping these off to the side. These are going to be benefits that you receive throughout the course of the game when certain conditions are met, such as pressure washer. During your turn, you may discard a card from your hand and then refresh the community draw pile. So this is the community draw pile up here. You can only have 1 pressure washer. The motion lights is going to protect you from sabotage cards. Sabotage cards are those take that type of cards played against you. And topiary art class. Topiary art class has +2 for each hedge in your yard. So they're going to increase the points that are on your plots. And those are the gists of the cards that you will see in this game. Again, the game's going to end whenever you fill up a plot with up to with 3 cards on each plot. The game can also end if this massive deck of cards runs out. So that's not likely to happen. It's much more likely that you're going to have somebody fill up all of their plots, but that can end the game as well, at which point you will score your plots and you'll see who has the most points, and whoever does is the winner. And that's how you play Grass is Greener. Let's go back up top and share our thoughts on this one. All right, so there you have it. That's Grass is Greener. Now we're going to share our thoughts on it as a gamer and non-gamer. So Sam, initial impressions. It's just a card game, but it has some really cool artwork, some humor. Flavor text is hilarious on a lot of these cards. What was your first impression with this one?
I thought it was a lot of fun. We've had some other card games similar to this.
Yep.
What's the one I'm thinking of?
Probably Turf Wars is one I think that is most similar to this.
The trick-or-treating one too.
Well, that's Turf Wars too. It has a Halloween expansion to it. Yeah,
so that's what I was thinking of. And we really like both of those games.
Yeah.
And it's very similar to that, but I love the HOA concept.
Yeah.
We live in an HOA and we're not great with our lawn. Inside of our house looks great. Outside, not so much. So a lot of the stuff was so funny, like porch pirates and fancy flamingos and
taking a deuce.
Yeah. That is not happening.
Crabgrass. And just it's a lot of stuff that. Again, if you're a homeowner, you don't even have to live in an HOA to know what this is all about. But if you're a homeowner, if you try to keep up with plants in your lawn or whatever.
Well, and it's, if you have a floodlight, then that deters people from putting junk in your yard. We have a floodlight, not for junk, but for people taking things and things like that. And so it's very relatable, I feel like. The
theme is definitely with this game, as far as the mechanics, the card play, the flavor text, everything about it is 100% theme. It's 100% real life, and because of that you get the humor, and it's just a fun experience seeing the next card come out on the table and being like, oh yeah, I know all about that.
And then the aspect of getting to take cards from their yard and either adding it to yours or putting it into the discard. Or
Yeah.
I think a lot of the playing mechanics are fun too. It's very almost party game.
Yeah,
but
I definitely
not,
say it would
yeah.
be. Yeah.
And so it's enjoyable for everybody. I don't think you're really going into this game necessarily like, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
It's just fun. And then if you do win, it's a bonus.
Right, exactly. And I think that's where that party-like feel comes from with this game. So yeah, for me, I think the gameplay is so smooth. It's very easy. You're doing a simple action on your turn of either taking cards, playing cards, or some combination of the two. And so this game is very intuitive. You don't have to ask a whole lot of questions. It's let's open it up, shuffle the cards, boom, 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 we're going.
Yeah.
And as a gamer, I can appreciate that because there's not a lot of downtime. There's not a lot of, well, you can't do that, or asking questions and that sort of thing. So I think that works really well for this game. All right, let's get to pros and cons for Grass is Greener. For you, Sam, as a non-gamer, what stood out to you in a positive way?
I mean, I just think, like you said, the flavor text is probably the best part of the game. Just reading, the examples of why you would do certain things, and getting to create your yard, it's satisfying. Again, there's not a whole lot to it, but the whole job or the whole game is very enjoyable.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I think the artwork is fantastic with this game, and it definitely brings the theme to life. Seeing the different, the different flamingos on the lawn, or the inflatables, or the just the stuff that if you live in a neighborhood, you're like, why does that crazy person still think that those weeds are flowers? And you see things like that on these cards, and it's like, okay, they get it. They know. And so the artwork is fantastic with this one. I think, the way the cards play off of one another, they've been designed pretty well with that regard, because that's so important when you're talking about games like this, these kind of card games where you don't want to just have it be a rote experience where it's just playing cards, but you play a card and it bounces off of this card and it combos off of that card and so on and so forth. That makes card games like this enjoyable. So you have that with this game. It's quick. It's fast. The box says 20 to 45 minutes. I think that's probably pretty accurate. So that works great. And it plays up to 6, if I'm not mistaken. So you can play this with quite a few people.
And we kind of made it go longer than it could. We could have ended it so much earlier than we did, but we were both looking for a specific card to get more points. And so it definitely can end at 20 minutes. It could go an hour if you really are, having fun with it.
Anything about this game that doesn't work so great for you?
I think it could have been a little bit, the HOA people, was it president?
Just HOA members, I think, is what they are.
I don't feel like they played as big of a part. All the cards played off of each other, and were associated with HOA. Obviously, they're not going to want flamingos in your yard or poop in your yard or things like that. So
although there are some HOA members that are like, I don't care, do whatever you want.
But I feel like maybe there could have been more members, or it changed halfway through or something, because you really just have the one and that's it. And I feel like that could have really made the game a little bit more exciting.
I'll agree with that. I think, it may have been a little bit of a miss on trying to incorporate more than one HOA member in each game, because you do only just have the one. And it feels sort of like we're doing all this work for just one thing. It would have been interesting to see how it would have played out. Like Sam said, maybe you
have like a member for each of your 3 yards.
Something along the lines of, that's an interesting idea. Just a way to kind of incorporate a little bit more decision spread amongst what you're trying to do and throughout the course of the game, instead of just focusing on one thing. So that's, I think, for me, that would be an interesting thing to see, not necessarily...
it doesn't make the game bad or anything. I just think that could have been one area that could have elevated it a little bit more.
All right, scale of 1 to 10, love to hate. What do you give Grass is Greener?
I enjoyed it, and we played it while we were camping. I think it's definitely going to go in our travel game
There's
box.
another pro for it,
I'd probably give it a 7.5.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the same ballpark. I was going to say 7.4. For me, this really feels like, so this game, you can get it at Target right now if you live here in the States, and it feels exactly like that. It feels like a Target game, which if you're not familiar with Target games, that's kind of that's not a negative thing, definitely, these days. That's a positive thing because they're accessible games, they're lively games, they're going to be games.
And they're more likely to be inclusive for a lot wider range of people.
Exactly. And so you definitely have that with this game. I think it's perfect being on the shelves at Target because you're going to have a lot of people that will not play a whole ton of games and sit down and play this and have a great time with it. And you'll also have gamers that play it too and enjoy the experience because it's a funny game. So 7.4 for me, 7.5, is that what you said? Well, there you have it. That's our thoughts on Grass is Greener. It is from Blue Press Games. Leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think about this game.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.